All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to learn how to make a stone on the beach, just like this, using texture brushes. So we're going to create our own. So let's go ahead and get started with a new document, and we're going to go into Art and Illustration. We're going to choose a 1000 pixel grid. And so I'm going to zoom in so it kind of fills my screen a little bit. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use my drawing tablet. With the smoothing up, I'm going to use Kyle's Ultimate Inking Thick and Thin, turn the smoothing up to 100, and just draw myself actually I'm going to make a new layer first. I'm going to draw myself a little stone. Oops. And the shape isn't super important, but something kind of stone-like. Something like that. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is use the magic wand to select around my stone. And then I'm going to select the inverse to select inside. Let me make a new layer and bucket fill it. And there's the stone. And maybe something a little bit like darker or something like that. So once I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is Control D to deselect that, and we'll go ahead and lock the opacity. So we now have that set, which means that we're not going to be able to draw outside of that area now. So we're going to be learning about how to create texture brushes today, and to do that, I'm going to switch to any of these dry brushes could work, but let's go ahead and just start with let's do this Ultimate Charcoal Pencil under Dry Media Brushes. Next, I'm going to go to my window and I'm going to pull up my brush settings. And this is where we're going to be able to do a lot of cool stuff. So first off, let's turn on some scattering, and you can see that that's what that does. So using a dark color, you can see we end up with some effect like that. And then let's pull the count up a little bit. And I'm going to make my brush smaller. Oops, I accidentally switched to the eraser. I'm going to make my brush smaller. So let's see what happens when we do something like this. Okay, let's pull that count up even higher. And maybe let's make that brush just a little bit bigger. Oh, I somehow switched my brush. Let's try that again. And scatter up and count up. And nice small brush. Okay, that should work. Next thing is we're going to go into color dynamics. And we're going to check this box that says apply per tip. And let's go ahead and pick a color for our stone. So maybe something like, I'm going to make mine kind of a bluish gray color, something like this. But a little less saturated, so something like this. Okay. And then we're going to turn the hue jitter off, and we're going to turn the saturation jitter off, and we're going to turn the brightness jitter to about 40, let's set it to about 20%. And now I'm just going to push pretty hard. Come in. And you know what? I feel like that's a little bit too dark. So I'm just going to come in and do a little bit lighter. Something like this. And if you want to experiment, with different textures or different size brushes or whatever, feel free to do so. Now that I've done this, I want to give this stone a little bit of light and dark. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to use a burn tool, and I'm going to just darken up this bottom area. If it's not soft, make sure you switch to a soft round brush when you use this tool. Next, I'm going to switch to a dodge tool to lighten up this area. We end up with a nice shiny spot on it. So that's looking like a rock to me. Pretty good. Okay, let's go down and create a new layer. This is going to be the sand layer. And I'm going to go back to this brush, and this time we're going to pick kind of a sandy color. So let's go in here and do something like this. This time I am going to turn the hue jitter up a little bit so that, and maybe the saturation jitter. And that way we're going to get slightly different colors in the sand here. Now I want a smaller brush. And let's go up here and make sure the spacing is set to off. And let's give it a little bit of size jitter under shape dynamics, angle jitter. And under scattering, I guess that's as much as we can get on the count. Okay, let's try that. You know what? This is not working. Doing something wrong. Check the spacing and just set it to 0 or 1%. There. Okay, let's go a little smaller here so it looks like sand. You want to get really fancy, you could make the brush go a little bit bigger as you go down, because as things get closer to us, they feel a little bit bigger. But I think for this instance, I'm not going to. It does take a long time. I don't know why. When I did this yesterday, I wasn't getting that line in the middle, so I'm doing something wrong with my brush settings, but I don't know. Maybe you won't have that problem. And again, I'm having to push pretty hard in order to get it to spread. Just keep doing that until you have the whole area. And the last step is, I'm just going to quickly try to scraggle through this. The last step is we're going to use the burn tool on the sand to give it the appearance of a shadow. So I will go ahead and do that now. I'll just switch to the burn tool. And, oh, that's the dodge tool. I'm lighting it up. So let me just click and hold here. Burn. Yeah. Now we have ourselves a stone on the beach.